Now, hello, welcome to this week's episode of Pit Against, a live Flesh and Blood call-in show. I'm joined by my constant co-host, Kevin Smurf Murphy. Kevin, what's up?
Getting ready for PQ season, playing some nonsense.
How many weeks out is that?
Next weekend?
Next weekend?
Next weekend?
Not this coming, but the weekend after?
This weekend there's the calling, and then the weekend after is PQs.
Calling which?
Phuket.
Oh, the one they advertised a whole bunch and did like giveaways for and stuff. That was gonna be cool.
Yep.
I'm excited for that. Is that in a?
Yeah. So.
Is that Pacific?
Yeah, that's 8 pack.
I'd have to stay up to watch some of it. I think I might do that some nights. I don't know.
10 p.m. tomorrow.
Starts at 10 p.m. tomorrow?
Yeah, our time.
That's could be worse.
Yeah. Barcelona was way worse.
Yeah, Barcelona was worse. Pit Against is a live call-in show. If you'd like to be on air talking to us about your take, join the Pit Against Discord by clicking on the link that's in the description and that we have put in chat. Then join the waiting room channel, put your hot take in the topics channel, and then we will take you in, pull you in for a mic check, and then pull you on air. We don't have any callers right now, so Kevin, I've heard a lot of news about scab skin leathers.
The discourse, as it were, as people have taken to calling it.
The discourse. All right.
Yes, the discourse around scab skin leathers.
It sounds like somebody's college paper. The discourse on scab skin leather by
on the efficacy and variants of scab skin leathers as it pertains to present day flesh and blood.
All of the references or whatever, all of the notes in the back are just Twitter.
Just tweets.
It's just tweets.
They're just tweets.
It's just tweets in what is it called? MLA format.
Oh my god. Ew.
It's so funny. I'm sure MLA has a Twitter format now.
Oh, I bet.
How to cite a tweet in MLA. I'm not looking that up anymore. All right.
Okay.
So what is the discourse on scab skin leathers?
One side thinks it is too variance dependent and shouldn't exist, essentially, or should be banned. The other side says it's fine. You're playing a card game. You already have variance. Suck it up. They would probably call the other side a sippy cup take, but yeah.
I think both sides could say that about the other a bit. So
maybe.
Now? Why not during Welcome to Wraith? Because this card's been around since before I was.
Same. So this is something that I think Cody Williams talked about on Fresh and Buds and went very in depth on it.
Is that the newest one?
Yeah.
Did that come out today? When did that come out?
I think so. I think today.
I don't think I listened to it. I didn't listen to it yet.
Yeah, he makes a really good point there, and this is not mine, this is his, that since it came out, when it came out, it was average. Everyone had Battle Worn 2 equipment, and it was fine, and everyone had busted equipment in Arcane Rising, and nothing changed in
Fab
Crucible.
1.0 stuff?
Yeah, and then Monarch comes out, and it's just bad. Like, it's just suddenly not good enough.
Oh, as in like the power scale shot up,
yeah,
and then it just didn't.
So like, if Scabs is here, it's like WTR Arcane Rising Monarch, Tails, Everfest,
yep,
Uprising, and then it starts dropping a little bit more, Dynasty
like
Dusk Till Dawn, Outsiders.
Here. Holy frick.
And then now we're down like here. And Scabs is here because it's Battle Worn 2, and it's a reasonable amount of the time you're going to get an extra action point. If you roll it every turn, it is on average half an action point. So every other turn you go +1 action point.
So
just like the baseline for it, not doing all the math that Tarek did, which I think he broke down really well, and is a good baseline that people should be using. And if they're not, They're not trying to win games.
What's up, Sid Swami? Dude, I forgot. Sid Swami is a name that sounds familiar. I should know that. I should know this.
Okay. I don't know. I don't recognize the name. Sorry.
Oh, is it just Sid? What's up, Sid?
No.
We've been playing UPF. I've been playing UPF with Sid.
Oh,
dude,
okay.
it's just Sid. I'm
Got
like that last, like, you know, the after Sid part. That sounds so familiar. Wait, I know a Sid. Oh, that totally. Holy frick. What's up, Sid? If you want to chat with us and have a hot take you want to talk about, join the Discord and let us know what you're thinking. Okay, so
now Scabs is pushed, as it were.
Okay,
it would never be printed the way it is, and the way I know that is because they put beaten trackers in Dynasty.
True, as in like the
beaten trackers is exactly where that power level should be. Like, that's a very good,
I could
reasonably balanced
totally
card.
see Temper 2 on that card, and then you pump it up to Majestic or something like that.
Yeah, I can see that.
So a few more clarifying statements. We've already heard this discussion into the ground, and other people have talked about it a lot too, but like more clarifying discussions. Why aren't people complaining about Warrior Arms, Guardian Chess Piece, Ninja Headpiece?
So Ninja Headpiece people, so if you're talking about momentum, it's not played right now. Pouncing Links is insane.
Fair enough.
It's getting more value in Katsu than it did in Phi because of Bond's lines.
Well, I guess then how about the battle worn equipment in Dory's Arms,
Guardian,
Bravo Chess Piece?
So those only ever translate one resource to one resource, or 1 point to 1 point.
Whereas the
Scabs
Brute
is free.
Legs it's just free. Free action
you
points.
don't put anything in. You're risking rolling the 1.
I wonder if the
That's
thought
your
process.
cost.
I wonder if the thought process back then is like, I guess it translates to more damage, but an action point isn't like actually pumping your card or discounting things. So that's basically
you have to have held the card.
True.
If you had to hold a card to do it, that's your cost.
Dude, Tarek bringing up the big brain top point that I haven't played enough Brute to think about it, which is you hold an extra card for Scab Skins if you have an arsenal open, so you can arsenal it if you need to.
Yeah.
I was like, what the frick?
Yeah.
I should have played more.
Like that's and that seems like such an obvious thing, but like people don't do that. They just don't. And so like it ends up being like and also just like even then, like all of that is subject to his first heuristic of if you can block with the cards, do that instead. Like it's guaranteed. And I know that Hamilton also did a version of this math in his Manor University post where he talked about his KO deck for LA.
Oh, did he?
Like he did
That's
a very similar version of the math.
Are you in the Manor University?
I'm a patron for their subscribe to their Patreon or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Someone should subscribe to us so I can afford Manor University. Anyways, the next point that I was going to bring up is so it wasn't that bad. I feel like all of the the Guardian or Brute got in this last set. Is that not just a similar level of power to the free go again you get from
agility is just
Boots?
So much better. So I will say a lot of their agility and their go again generation, they either already had in the form of pulping and wild ride. They just have extra upside on it now with KO might tokens, but the others are still the same. The agility and generation that they got in this set often costs an entire card.
3 for 7, discard a random card at choice,
chest.
Create an agility. What's that? Assault and battery.
Agile windup. Yeah, assault and battery is just beat chest. You have to beat chest for it, which is why it actually came out of a lot of the top KO lists in LA because it wasn't on curve. and then it was an entire extra card to just make an agility, and you'd rather just block for 3.
It was interesting seeing a lot of the taking on the chins. I didn't realize just how.
I don't think there were any in KOs, but in all the warriors, yeah, they're all like, on 3. That card is insane.
Yeah, because it's like block 2, and is it just prevent anything or prevent specifically?
Prevent anything.
To prevent anything at 0 cost at instant speed.
Yes.
And make an agility token if it's block. Yeah, if it blocks something. It's pretty good.
We're talking about how they need an entire card for agile windup or beat chest on assault and battery. Yeah, this is just the entire card plus 2.
Plus 2. Yeah. So with all of this agility generation, that's pretty dang good. Why do you need the boots? Like
Battle 1.
Why do you roll the boots?
Because you don't have the agility every turn, and you don't want to be spending an entire card on it as well. Like an agile windup for an agility is not actually super efficient. It's Bolton.
I guess it's kind of 2 agilities.
The equivalent of charging your soul.
On 2 agilities and a might token if you use it on Mandible Claw, right?
Runner?
Like you give Mandible Claw go again. You create an agility token. You make a.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's a 2-card 5, 6.
2-card.
Depending on how you value agility.
4 go again. Make an agility.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's not great.
But Tarek had a bunch of math where he talked about how scab skins under the right condition, it makes more sense to roll it than not.
I mean, yeah, you just do the math. If it is positive damage on the turn cycle, you roll it.
Is it that simple?
No other way to...
Is it really that simple?
That's the 5-second rule, but like you're gonna also take into account: do I lose the game if I don't roll scabs and hit 2 action points? Do I auto win the game and I don't lose the game if I hit a 1 if I roll 2 action points? Like all of that context matters, and that's something that he talked about. Is like, 1, if you can just block with the cards, even if you would have positive expected damage, just block with the cards. Like, because you do introduce
3 non-blocks in your hand and then a pitch card, you're like, well, I guess I'm throwing.
Then
I have to throw something.
You're probably rolling scabs at that point.
Makes sense. Makes sense. That's interesting.
Like, I don't think there's much more I can say on it, really, that hasn't already been said better by somebody else.
Yeah, go check out Tarek Patel's Twitter, and you said it was Cody who was on.
Cody Williams on Fresh and Buds,
which I'm gonna watch, listen to tomorrow while I'm mowing. I guess we'll go ahead and talk about the next thing. So Blippy said he couldn't make it. He's got COVID.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Oh,
everybody.
Just unlucky.
Don't catch COVID. Don't do that.
He rolled a 1.
He rolled a 1. Okay, kind of related. So there's a new thread card for the
for cosplay.
And one of them just makes scab skin leathers. But the card Venom is called something. Yeah, Venom back.
Yep.
So it is toxic. You are getting COVID by rolling scabs and getting a 1.
Yeah.
That's what the 1 is. The 1 is you caught COVID.
Dex was so mad that he didn't get top 4 to get it.
I'm sure he could buy it for an absurd number from maybe somebody who wants to sell
he's just like, I am already planning my Nats cosplay. I want this. You can't stop me.
Going all out.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go over this take real quick. I'm just gonna read it. I guess what was the point of the Scapskins take? It was
people said it was bad for the game. It was toxic, which I will say, it doesn't ever feel like. I don't think I've ever felt good about my opponent rolling a 1. I can agree with that. It's not fun. That's not how I
both
want
sides
to
of the
win
table
games.
feel
Yeah. Like, and the argument of like, oh, you're playing a TCG, you signed up for variance. It's like, yes, I agree. That doesn't mean I want to win games like that.
fair enough. Yeah, you want to be able to. You don't want the game to be decided on variance, whereas
Decided on a literal roll of the die, not the 60 cards they put in their deck. They chose to put in their deck. Yes, they draw them up in a random order, but that feels more deliberate.
And Flesh and Blood is a game of consistency anyways, because as we saw a couple of times during top 8 of PT, you go into second cycle and you're planning it out, and whoever planned it out better had a better second cycle. So there should be some amount of variance, or the game's not interesting. It's just Oldham mirrors.
Yep.
Better player wins.
Yep.
But also, there shouldn't be enough variance to where it's Yu-Gi-Oh! What 5 cards did you draw in your opening hand determine if you won the game or not? That level of variance, right? So you want something a little bit in between, or at least we do as Flesh and Blood players. So I would say it's not. I would actually say it is toxic, but it's not overbearing, and I don't think it's like dominating the meta game.
Also agreed.
Maybe it's wouldn't it be interesting if it was the first piece of equipment to LL with its hero?
Besides a weapon?
And then you just and then you just have beaten trackers for brutes.
That was just Crown of Seeds.
I guess it was. What are they using now? Are they using the stupid Earth helmet? Oh my gosh, pay 3, put a card in your hand?
No, they're just using Crown of Providence. Or Balance.
Balance is good.
Balance is a really heckin' good card.
I love that card. It do what I
love
want
that
it doing.
It can't be better than Providence unless something is drawing cards. Like, it is exclusively a meta call.
But also it's like they both just block 2. And so if you're going to an armory, either one's more than enough. Skullcap's more than enough.
That feel when they're power creeping Skullcap out with rares.
The rares are so good. We need more good rares.
That rare equipment in heavy hitters is insane.
I
it is
expect
unreal.
more of that in future sets. Absolutely.
In certain sets, yes.
At least in the sense that some rarities will be power crept, not necessarily some cards are fully power crept.
Yes. Like, I think WTR3 is going to be terrifying.
We're seeing, I think this is our first, talking about spoilers already, I think we're seeing our first common rarity dual-faced card. Power creep.
I guess it is.
See, now even the commons can have dual-faced cards.
The commons, at least, that go in your deck because your hero token is
commoner only draft cubes will now have to be sleeved.
Sure.
Anyway, sorry, let's go on to the next topic. Whippy said he made he made a take on Twitter, and some people had opinions. What he said was, and he was going to call in it, but he can't. Decktech videos that are longer than 30 minutes should include gameplay footage to highlight how to pilot the deck, with the person playing the deck talking about their thought process as they go through while playing. Doing so would enhance the experience of watching the video and assist with teaching people about the deck. There's so much, I think, personally, that needs to get unpacked here. But let's hear some gut reactions. What's your opinion on the take?
Yes, 100%. Like, so I'm not going to say it's mandatory. I think that I will always prefer any deck tech that has some version of gameplay. I think the Runaways deck techs are great examples of this. They're great at this. They don't show a ton. They're not going through full games. They are just like, here are just some common play lines that you can look for. And you do that instead of like that. The video doing that for 5 minutes saves the average player half an hour.
Yeah. Yeah,
outright.
Actually. Yeah.
Like, that's just better. And they just get to that first step so much faster. They enjoy it more. and they'll go back to your videos more as you produce more of them because they were good, because they liked them, because they were helpful. Like I thought the Icelander deck tech that Runaways did after Nats was the best Icelander deck tech that had been produced, because it had some lessons in there that it took me 6+ months to learn.
That's really good.
It was so good. It was so well done. And they went through like basic play, like standard play patterns of like, why would you arsenal this versus this? What are situations you want to arsenal this in? Like, and it's stuff that like, it took them like 10 minutes to go through this stuff. And it was months of learning for me, just the hard way, trial and error. And they were heuristics that I used, and I was telling my testing team.
I'm sorry, that word's banned here. You're not allowed to say that.
Heuristics?
You're not allowed to say that
Sure.
word here. I'm pretty sure it's copyright struck. We're going to get
at this point. Yeah. No, like it was all concepts that like I used, and I told my testing team of, here's what you should expect from good Icelander players and why. Here's, if they do this, it gives you this piece of information. And like those deck techs that Runaways have started doing are great. They're fantastic. And it's because they have those sections in them, and it's not just, here's 80 cards. And like the classic line is like, it's insane. You can't run it without it. That's it. And that's all they say about a card. And it's like,
yeah, like specifically, I'm thinking of like Blood Rush Bellow, right? A brand new hacking player just bought the new KO Armory deck, and it's got Blood Rush Bellow in it. I'm making this up. They're watching a deck tech on it, and they're like, this card's insane. Play it every chance you get. Yes, kind
but no.
of. Yes,
but actually no.
But actually no. It's a lot more in nuance than that, and you need to think about, okay, what does my hand look when I go to discard after playing? What's in my hand when I'm playing it? How many resources? What does an average hand look like? What is the maximum value I can get off of this card? You know, like there's a lot of, you know, similar to scab skins, honestly, as we were just talking about. There's a lot of little bits that you can, that I don't want to keep saying the word nuance, but there's a lot of nuance to these cards and how you use them, and you
100%.
You get more value out of it if you play with it a different way, because there's so many different avenues you can take while playing just a single hand in Flesh and Blood.
Yeah.
So
yes,
talking more about especially the more difficult cards to play, like the Draconic Tome that came out,
Imperial Flame. You could talk about that card forever.
Exactly.
But like actually showing examples, and it's like, if I'm pretty sure, I haven't actually read Mara's primer in like, I don't know, since it first came out, and it's doubled in length since then.
True.
I'm pretty sure she has an entire section in there, which is multiple pages on Imperial Flame math. Yeah. And I know that because you were there. We sat there for 45 minutes and figured it all out. Like we mapped every possible iteration of Imperial Flame, like what your hand can look like and how many resources it can produce.
Yep. It's crazy.
Like, it took us like serious time, and like we had to actually figure out like what resulted in everything and like what were the reasons for it. And it's like, that's not something you can just tell somebody. You show them, and it's like, this works because of this and this, but it's like also just like, you can't even do that in 30 minutes.
Yeah. So, and that's what makes being a specialist and focusing in on a deck really important. And also, I don't think is entirely, well, I'll get to that in a second. I'm going to actually just read his straight tweet, because his straight tweet is a little different than what he put in our Discord. He said,
it is.
You know, if your deck tech video is over 30 minutes long, it should include gameplay of you playing the deck and talking about how to pilot. Sure. Ain't no reason for you to be sitting there pure talking head mode yapping for an hour and a half. Man went a little more hostile on Twitter, and even in the comments he was holding a hilariously aggressive stance, and I kind of loved it.
The most just I'm gonna give this person a sippy cup award, because their response is, if you don't like it, turn it off. No shit, Sherlock. Thanks.
Okay, so to be
Thank
fair,
you for not actually adding to the conversation. Just turn it. Yes, I do.
he's
Most
like,
deck
"Trust me,
techs I
often
closed.
do."
Yeah, his response is the same
my
as mine.
gosh,
It's like,
yeah.
yeah, I'm frequently turning those deck techs off halfway through and just going to the Fabry link because that's as useful. In fact, it's more useful because I'm not like, I get to start working through stuff and I'm not just like trying to follow along as you just name cards.
Yeah.
Like,
Even though that does happen. So I'm going to break down more what he's getting at, maybe even more so than necessarily what he was initially thinking of, right? So like, if your deck tech video is over 30 minutes long, it should include gameplay of you playing the deck and talking about how to pilot it. The crux of the entire statement is a critique on average deck tech, flesh and blood deck tech videos.
yeah.
And it's more of a critique on the composition of a video. And so Whippy himself, does he got a YouTube? He's got a YouTube. Oh, I'm not playing a video for him right now. I'm so sorry, but I did bring it up. Yeah, he's got a YouTube. He knows how to make YouTube videos. I'm gonna be honest, Whippy, haven't watched any of your videos yet. After reading this comment, after reading this post, this is exactly how you get someone engaged on Twitter moving into your YouTube, because I'm gonna watch this video after this. But that's using social media correctly right there. Holy frick. So it's a critique on the style of video making that is a deck tech, which is interesting because in some aspects you could consider video making to be a more creative endeavor, and it's more of an artistic way of showcasing information, which could be an opinion on how you do showcase that information.
If your video can be as artistic as you want, if it doesn't effectively communicate the information in this, and your point is a deck tech,
Yes.
which it is to convey information.
Yeah.
I don't care how entertaining it is. If it didn't convey the information, it failed.
Conversely, for a YouTube video, to work, it needs to be watched, which means, or what's the term I'm looking for? It needs to be like consistently watched, like watched all the way through, and it needs to have a high click-through rate. So like they see the name, they see the thumbnail. We're getting into like content science. Yeah, content science, basically.
Analytics.
Right? Analytics, right? So you need a click-through rate. Like you need to see the thumbnail, see the title, and be like, yes, I want to click this. And then you also need high, watch time. It's not just skipping through the video. It's you watch the entire video all the way through. And then you go watch a different video, either by that person or someone else. That makes a successful YouTube video that then gets promoted to more people.
By your standards, yes.
By YouTube standards. So this is how they recommend it.
That doesn't mean it was a good deck tech. That means it was a good YouTube video.
Yeah.
That's not the same thing.
So
inherently, those
right.
are not
You're right.
Those are not necessarily connected.
That is true, and yet they are kind of, right? So like if the professor was to make a deck tech,
they can be correlated.
Yes,
but they are not. One does not one is not demanding of the other.
Mutually exclusive.
They're not mutually exclusive.
Not mutually exclusive.
You don't just because they're not mutually exclusive means just because you have one, if you have one, you can't have the other, which is not true.
True.
You can have both. Okay. It can be entertaining and informative.
Yes.
It can be entertaining but not informative.
Technically.
It can be informative and not entertaining.
Technically.
And it can be neither.
I've definitely seen those.
Yes. Okay.
All right, we've nailed that.
Are you? Yeah.
I'm arguing that a good deck tech has both qualities.
For you, yes.
For
That's going to be an opinion. A deck tech
80% of Flesh and Blood players?
A deck tech is going to be seen by more people if it has both qualities.
Okay.
That I believe to be true. Because the people who want it to be informative are going to share it with people because it's informative. And they're more likely, and it's more likely to spread because it's entertaining.
True.
So, by any metric, a deck tech will be more successful if it is both.
Yes.
But then, like, how much you prioritize entertaining on a YouTube video versus informative on the deck tech is up to you personally.
Okay. All right. We've nailed all of that down, and we're on the same page, and I agree with it a bit. Cool. Like I have to technically agree with it, and it's one of the few times where I'm just like, I don't want to agree with it. Oftentimes I'm like, you know what? You said the technically correct thing. I'm with you, but this time I'm like, I don't want to be. So it has to be so to be a good deck tech, it has to be informative, and it should be entertaining, I think is probably the way we put it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so for it to be, we'll start with the informative part. For it to be informative, does it need to have a gameplay in it?
I think it should. I think it is made more informative by having some version of gameplay, probably something close to Runaways, where they just go through a couple hands. They don't go through entire games, but they go through a couple hands and they say, here's stuff that we look for. Here's some basic play patterns. There's your first steps. You're not going in blind when you draw your first 4 cards.
You don't see this a lot.
And I think that
go ahead.
Strictly enhances it.
We got Mr. Help Me Jace. We got Taylor in chat. I'll be here next week to drop the truth. Be ready. All right. All right. You could just be here this week, but all right. What was I going to say? So some Magic the Gathering channels post on YouTube. Size matters. Greetings, Size matters. Some Magic the Gathering YouTube channels post, I'm going to call it a deck tech as a YouTube short, which has to be at maximum like 59 seconds.
Something like that. Yeah.
Is it a deck tech at 59 seconds long?
Can be. Doesn't stop it. Doesn't make it a good one or a bad one, but it's probably not going to be a great one.
Fair enough.
Also, it depends on what else that channel does.
Fair enough.
If they have like a full-length deck tech and here's the 60-second version of what we updated from this one.
Yeah.
Like if your meta is more control heavy, here's some things that you can change. Here's some cards to consider for this deck. I don't know if that qualifies as a deck tech, but that's more what I would expect from a YouTube short. But I also don't play Magic, so I don't know.
Does the length of the video like necessitate how much information you have in it, right? So if you have like a 5-minute deck tech, maybe you don't have a gameplay in it. If you have a 1-minute deck tech, you're definitely not going to do a gameplay, but you're going to go over like key core concepts of the deck and like game plans into certain things.
So it depends a little bit on the deck. And I think this is going to be more true for Magic than Flesh and Blood. But Fair. Magic, when you say a certain deck, you can probably predict 48 of the 60 cards.
I guess that's pretty true.
I don't come from Magic. This is just my guess looking back as a Flesh and Blood player now. Like, what do the decks look like? And it's like, well, you're running mostly 4-ofs, and then there's going to be some choice cards that you can put in there. But like, it's pretty consistent once you know the name of the deck, what a lot of those cards are. But it's, I don't.
Size matters. Do you watch any Magic or Flesh and Blood deck techs? He's been they've been a Magic player for 28 years, and they are now retired, which I think is the funniest thing when people say that they're retired Magic player. I think that's so silly. Flesh and Blood just grows.
But yeah, I think there is just a kind of a strict correlation between the length of a deck tech video and how much information you could put in there. I don't know that there's a necessary length depending on the context, I guess. I would be surprised to see a Flesh and Blood deck tech in 1 minute. That would seem very difficult.
That would be mostly, I mean, you'd just be like, this is Dorinthia. Her goal is to swing weapons. She has cards like this that allow her to swing her weapons multiple times.
It's not even a deck tech. That's like that's like a basic how to play, or what does this hero do? That's a hero intro.
So is there a minimum amount of time you have to put into a deck tech? Let's say 4 Flesh and Blood.
For Flesh and Blood, you have to be able to go through at least your 80 relatively quickly, and you say this is, if it's, let's say it's Dory, and I'm going to say Hatchet Dory because this will make it simpler. Here's Rainbow Blade Runners and Hit and Runs. This is our go again package. This is what lets us swing hatchets 3 times in a turn.
To what the different classes of cards throughout the deck.
Yeah, you don't have to break it down to, we have 3 red Blade Runners, we have 3 yellow Blade Runners, we have 3 blue. It's like, no,
this is our
Rainbow
blue
Blade
pile.
Runners.
This is,
Rainbow Hit and Runs. This is 18 go again. We're going to add some more. And like, you can shorten and condense it down a little bit to like what the identities of these cards are. But like, you have to be able to go through the 80 in Flesh and Blood because there is so much variance. And you see this even in the top 8 lists from LA, where the Hatchet Dory that Josh was on was very different from the Hatchet Dory that Max was on.
True.
And those, like,
they were both very different from the one that I'm on.
Yeah, because you're on Great Axe, because you're a Guardian player.
Great Hatchet.
Yes, big hatchet.
Big hatchet. Two-handed hatchet.
So like, it's Flesh and Blood is not currently in a spot where it's like, if you do a Kano deck tech, yeah, you can say these are 33 blues, and then here's like the 6 that we're not playing because we're playing these 6, and that's going to cover it because the Kano decks are relatively uniform. There's the standard combo deck which Majin plays, and then there's the Giga Stack deck that has like 9D reacts and plays to Giga Stack everyone. But like,
and if you're playing the
once you get beyond
deck teching the standard one specifically, then it's like it's
that could be a 10-minute deck tech.
Yeah.
Like,
so
pretty easily, because there's not a ton of spice. That's a pretty set list. It's been pretty set since Icelander left.
Yeah. So we do kind of agree with Blippi on
yes.
That, and also we've kind of established what we think we should get out of a deck tech, which is mostly information, but it also should be at least a little entertaining, I think.
Yeah,
it's gotta.
If it's not entertaining, it's going to be harder to watch.
I gotta be able to sit through it. One, microphones. Yes. Your microphones need to not sound like you're talking. Like, there's some that are just so bad. Can? Yeah, or like on the other side of a fan. You're holding your phone and there's a fan in between it and you. Like,
yeah,
you got to be able to listen to it. The video can be almost whatever. You should be quality, able to,
I just need to be able to see what the cards are.
Yeah.
I don't care beyond that, really. I will say, like, I come from, I went to grad school. I was in academia for 8 years.
Yeah.
Reading those papers sucks so much.
True.
Because, surprise, surprise, researchers in engineering and science suck at writing entertaining papers.
True.
It's so miserable. And I know I'm guilty of this. I hate reading my own writing from those papers. It's awful. I just hated reading them because they're not entertaining. Yeah. They're not supposed to be entertaining. They're supposed to be hyper informative.
Yeah. In a day and age where like the main form of social media is hyper entertainment.
Yes.
Which is very funny.
And 140 characters.
True.
Max, like
Twitter and
so it's,
TikTok.
Yeah. Yes. But I don't know if it's needed. I greatly prefer when they show some sort of gameplay or some sort of actual walkthrough where they draw up 4 cards. Not just here's the, like, if they're just saying here's the 80, it's like, all right, cool. I'll skim through it and I'll grab the Fabry list. If there's any cards that I care about, I'll go to the point where you talk about them. But like, when you actually show me your game plans and what you're thinking about doing, like when Runaways did that for Icelander, fantastic. So much better for getting people on the deck. Even as experienced players, you can learn more stuff from that. Like, it's so much better. It's like the two responses that I see that were like kind of against it were actually Mara and Siphon, both of whom do extremely detailed write-ups and deck guides. And it's like, yes, I understand you're on super complicated decks and you put a lot of time into this. That doesn't mean it's good. That doesn't mean you have conveyed the information well. And
True.
I'm gonna dig at Mara for this one
a little.
She complains that people don't like it. Like the number of times she's just been like watched a play and be like, have you not, like, I wrote a guide for this, and it's like, yeah, 65 pages. You expect them to read that?
Holy frick.
And to perfectly understand it and perfectly implement it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to be the best of the best of the best, you should be reading that every night before you go to sleep. Just like
maybe not like that.
Just like, exactly like Joshua Scott talks about judges reading the comprehensive rule. You should have a copy of it at your bedside that you go over before you go to sleep.
If you have questions, you should go to it. You should be familiar with the document and where it is. I didn't read academic papers through word for word though in grad school. I would read the abstract. I'd read the title first, then I go to the abstract. If there's something interesting in there, then I read the intro and the conclusion. And then I go for the pieces that I'm interested in because that's it. But like, that's so much information.
So if we break that
there's
down,
zero examples.
If you're making a YouTube
in either of their work,
I'm going to pivot it a little bit, right? So there's two kinds of people who make deck techs. There's pros who everyone said, I want to know how to play the deck. And then the pro just like, fine, here's how you play the deck. And then the other one is people who want to be Mr. Beast. Or the professor, right?
Yes. People who want to be the professor.
Nothing. Yes. Well, people who want to be as rich as Mr. Beast, and think they're getting it through YouTube. So the problem with the first one is it isn't always necessarily going to be entertaining, but it's always going to be informative, which is exactly what you need out of a deck tech.
It will always have the information, even if it doesn't convey it well.
Yes. If you are not a pro player, but you are trying to make a quality deck tech, one, hire a writer. Two, like, I mean, someone who knows a thing or two
writer,
about
editor,
like someone who makes the
yeah. Yes.
I'm not saying your job, because you are not being paid to do YouTube yet, because you do flesh and blood content. Your job should be to make it entertaining. So you need to like pay someone or work with someone who is the one trick, who is the knowledge behind
if you're doing a Draw My Deck tech, if it's a big dragon one, talk to Aaron. To Aaron Chance.
Yes.
If you're doing a red line one, talk to Mara.
Or if you have a local that's just really good at the deck and plays it a lot. I'm not saying they're going to make the best deck tech in the world, but
a PT level Draw My player.
Yeah, somebody.
It doesn't like.
Dude, a battle hardened, like a high ranking, like just get somebody who knows
X2
the deck.
battle hardened player.
If you've played the deck twice and you're like, I'm gonna make a deck tech on KO because it's all everyone's playing right now, and I'm a YouTuber, find someone who actually has played KO during the PT season, PQ season, or whatever.
Yeah. Someone who did well with it. Someone who top aided numerous PQs with it, or RTNs.
Yeah, exactly. So just get the information like from the source, have someone work with you. Number two, it does need to be entertaining, right? And so watch other people's content, watch like, you know, the professor has done deck techs. There's
watch. Okay,
go ahead.
I don't know if you watch him, but Wolfie VGC, he plays Pokemon VGC competitively. He's extremely good at it.
Okay.
I watch, like, he does for every big tournament he goes to, every calling level tournament, he does like an hour and a half long video for it.
God dang.
And the first like half an hour is like him building the team and like his testing process, and then like an hour report on the tournament. I have no problem watching through all of it. because, and I don't
really
know
good.
VGC that well, but it's because it's entertaining.
Oh, that's step 3. You have to be entertaining. Now that was a hard one.
But like, no, like he is a perfect example of it being informative and it being entertaining. Like, I'm gonna send you one, and you're going to be able to watch all of it. I'm like 95% sure.
I'll probably do it tomorrow. Or actually, I might even do it this evening. Yeah, send me one.
Like,
so
he's.
So the next thing that I was going to say about the Decktech is making a YouTube video, which you're like, that's not a Decktech. Yeah, but Kevin just explained how you make a YouTube video a few minutes ago, right? He said you open the document, you read the title, you read the thumbnail, and then you're like, okay, I'm clicking on this. You click on this. That means it needs a good title. It needs a good thumbnail. It needs a reason for someone to click on it. Then he watched the intro, he watched the outro, and then he skipped around in the middle some. If the middle some
literally what I do for Decktechs.
The intro should be good, and it should want people to stick around for at least a little longer than an intro. So get them in the first 15 seconds with some kind of entertainment, or this is what we're doing, you know. Again, like if you watch a professor video, he has really good intros and outros and other things like that. He really sums up a video very well doing this kind of stuff, right? Have a good intro, have a good outro, have good meat of the subject and segues between them, right?
I frequently skip to the end of professor videos just to look at whatever grades he gives.
Like when he's doing like when he's doing like a
like reviewing commander decks or whatever. Decks. Yeah,
exactly.
And it's like like I skip to that part because one, I know it's there. Also, by the way, being predictable is not always bad.
Actually, it's great, dude. Some of the most clickable videos is ones where like there was, what was it? I can't think of the video off the top of my head, but it asked a science question, and it was something like, "What happens when this happens?" And then the thumbnail just says the word, "This is what happens."
Yeah.
Right. And so like there's,
but then you get engaged in why.
You're like, yes, I need to know why. Right. And so, you know, have a good intro, have a good outro, but you also got to work with somebody who knows a thing or two so that your meat's any good. And then you, as the editor, as the writer, need to bring it all together. As the entertainer, need to bring it all in into a big, I don't know, whatever metaphor.
Into it like a cohesive. So this is something that my advisor talked about when we were writing papers. Is there needs to be a story.
Oh my gosh, there needs to be a story. Even in your deck text, there kind of needs to be a story. Like there needs to be a through line. You need to follow the video.
Yes. This is my core piece. So I needed this. So I needed this. So I found this. Mm-hmm. And then this is the last piece that ties it all together back to the beginning, and it runs like this.
That's like one example of like simple. Many ways to like make a story.
Yes.
But you need to have one of them. You need to just it actually be super simple if you just went to like there's definitely like lists on the internet or Reddit posts where they're just like, what's the structure for a story? And they're like, well, this story took this kind of structure, and a lot of people copy it. Copy it until you know it well enough that you can do something else. Just copy it.
Don't try and make it up. Like this is something that literally. I think even heckin' who's it? Brandon Sanderson in his writing courses, he talks about is like, don't make it up the first time. Copy someone else's story structure.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Actually, it's very similar to learning how to play a game like Flesh and Blood, right? What you do,
we're going to show you play patterns and you're going to be able to use those.
Do them exactly. If I say you never play a Sink Below from hand in this matchup, you always put it in your arsenal, then you always put the Sink Below. You're like, but I could play from my hand this turn. It's like, no, the rules said put in your arsenal, and after you've done that 100 times, then you know when to play from your hand.
Then you know when to play. Yeah.
Or even like when to play from your hand, but also just why you play from your arsenal, right?
This is the other piece that I think gets lost when you have super long deck techs is you give too many rules.
True.
You give too much information. And then people get paralyzed and they don't have a baseline that they're shooting for. Because this is actually the problem I had when I first tried to pick up Dromai and Mara's my local. I didn't try to get to 80%. I tried to go to 100%.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work because I skipped everything that the last 20% is built on.
You were already working on the edge cases before you had the fundamentals down.
Yes. And this is something that like we told Alex when he was learning Levia is like, you're trying to be Mansant. Don't try and be Mansant.
He's already spent thousands of hours on this deck.
You cannot skip to that level because he was just making fundamental mistakes where he would just lose 3 or 4 points of value like every other turn cycle.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I don't know why I'm losing. And then like Mara picks up his deck and just wins games with it because fundamentals. Like,
and that's also how great players prove themselves on decks really quickly is they start with the fundamentals and they build up on them, right?
And they find the little things that the deck needs because it's like, oh, I can't be doing this because I need to save this card for this. Or it's like simple stuff in Runaways where they're like, put the hit and run in your arsenal.
Yeah.
And wait for Tunic to come up. Baseline. But then you know when to break that and say, I'm actually just going to hold 4 cards even if I have to pitch a second card. I'm going to present the threat now. Like, this is something that I think happens when you actually present too much information is you actually get people stuck in like with too much to process. Like,
no, I think it makes sense.
I there are very few like hour-and-a-half long deck texts that I've watched. And I think actually a good example of a recent one is the one that Rhea and Alex just put up for IP3 on the Prism list they took to PTLA, which, by the way, should be the standard for Prism lists if you're testing it. It was really good because they spent about half an hour talking about their runs, and they spent another half an hour talking about not the whole deck, but key cards. It's like, you're going to run Rainbow Triumph. You're going to run Rainbow Origin. You're going to run Herald of Erudition. You're going to run this. It's like, here's why we put Herald of Judgment in. Here's why Alex ran Invoke Shariah instead of another Tenacity. Here's why we're running here's a couple notes of when we run Figments and don't. And then the last half hour was questions from Twitter that they had asked for. They wanted to know what information people wanted. They didn't just guess.
That's good. That's good. Especially, right? So like when you're, how do I phrase this? Like when you're at the peak,
you're already at that top level.
It's really hard to see down at the bottom.
Yes, you forget what questions you asked down there.
And you might ask
because it's all second nature
up because you have played other trading card games or other board games or other things like that. You've had these questions in different ways presented to you that you figured out the answer to, and other people might be finding them for the first time in Flesh and Blood.
Yeah,
it's like, of course, card advantage is good, right? I mean, I've played Magic for 5
drawing
years.
Cards is great.
Yeah, drawing cards are great, and then a new player's just like, I don't understand why. I don't know.
But I can't use the card from a Ponder token.
Yeah. It's like, I got the Ponder token, and then you already have a card in your arsenal, but you're just really excited about the Ponder token, and it's like, actually,
I'm going to draw a card.
Maybe it just doesn't matter.
And then you just draw up to 4.
Yeah, and then maybe it just doesn't matter. You know, maybe you need to be doing something with the card that you get from the Ponder token. Yeah, being efficient with stuff like that. Yeah, it's
and that was a really well done video in my opinion, because it didn't feel like an hour and a half. It felt like 3 30-minute videos.
Yeah.
One of which was their tournament report. One of which was a fairly, not a super specific deck tech, but a very targeted deck tech, where they covered important cards and stuff that you wouldn't necessarily expect. And then they also went over like notable exclusions and why they didn't run certain cards that had become super common. And then they did an AMA. So it was like 3 videos that just happened to all be on one link. And I had no problem watching all hour and a half of it.
That's great.
It was great.
It's actually great. All right. There you go. Yeah, copy their video 100% word for word. Actually, just re-upload it, but what you're doing is reading a transcript of the video.
Copy Runaways deck text.
Copy the
Runaways
professor's deck text.
Are good.
Dude, I'm just so high on the professors because his are really entertaining, and he hires people to basically write the deck tech.
Yes, he has writers.
Yeah. He has writers, and he goes out of his like he has people on staff who help edit, but then he also just pays writers for specific deck techs.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to pay anyone because no one's making money in content creation of Flesh and Blood except DM Armada. So Red Zone, there's like 4 or 5 people making. Arsenal Pass doesn't need the money. They don't need the money.
They pay. They pay for Decktechs. They pay the people who come on.
Well, that's very nice of them. Yeah. There's very little money in Flesh and Blood's content creation right now. So I'm not saying necessarily go out and pay somebody, but I am saying get in touch with someone who's willing to work with you on this. I want to do a tech deck for KO. I go ask, whomever locally that's been playing all the KO and has been deep diving into KO. They're the local that we cheer for at nationals. Ask them. So I don't know. I guess at the end of the take, we'll wrap it up.
Point.
Decktech videos are longer than 30 minutes. Should they include gameplay footage? Yes or no?
Yes.
I'm gonna go with.
I think it makes it a better Decktech. 30
minutes or longer, I would say. Yes, kinda. I mean, yes, but I mean, some way to convey hands. Yeah. Like I think Mara also
give players a baseline. Like all of this comes down to like if you're giving them the 80, also give them a baseline to play the 80.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
right.
It is significantly more helpful to players.
Yeah.
And I think like the argument that some decks are too complicated to do that, there's too many situations. Like, yeah, that's Flesh and Blood. Thanks.
Yes, we are playing the complicated game.
It's super complicated, and there's a million cases to cover. That shouldn't stop you. If you can't distill your deck down to a couple key hands to illustrate some concepts, you don't know the deck well enough to communicate it.
Exactly, right? So reach out. Speaking of reaching out, if you're making content and you have questions about stuff like this, I talk about content all the time. That's what I do. This is my new hobby. I'm just talking about it constantly with people.
Talk to him.
Talk to me. Please, I want to talk about it. All right, I think that wraps it up.
He wanted to make this about he wanted everything for Decktech's quality to be about it being entertaining. That's how much he should
be. And it should be informative.
Yeah.
All right. I think that wraps it up, right? Do you have any shout outs, Kevin?
I think so. The Patreon.
Yes, we have a Patreon.
Calling Phuket starts in about 25 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, Size Matters said he was at Calling Phuket.
At Calling Phuket. Yeah.
Phuket?
Phuket? I'm gonna shout out the videos the video that IP3 posted and that Runaways posted for their Dory Decktech. Because those were stellar, in my opinion. They were great examples of what you can do with high-level decks.
And here's my challenge to you. If you want to get good at making deck techs or at those heroes, you're going to be proactive enough and take the initiative and find it yourself, because I'm not going to waste the time putting it in the description. The only other thing I was going to say is I'm going to make... our next video going up that is not one of these podcasts or a UPF webcam game. Yes, we've been playing webcam UPF on Twitch. I've been recording them. They're going up on YouTube if you want to watch that. We also make these every week if you want to tune in to us watching this. If you are not watching those two, the next video that we're going up is one of our high production videos. Very excited about it. I got a lot of help on Twitter today with it, whether people knew it or not. Yeah. How many people responded to that, by the way?
I don't know off the top of my head.
There is 772 votes right now. So a lot of people voted. A lot of people who didn't play Flesh and Blood too. Anyways, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching. We have webcam UPF on Monday. Goodbye.